Looking for something new in sci-fi or fantasy? Check out what Brandon Sanderson, Orson Scott Card, Nnedi Okorafor, and others chose as the best news stories of the year in the L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future anthology from 24 award-winning authors and illustrators, plus art and writing tips and bonus stories. L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future. Buy your copy at galaxypress.com, Amazon, or wherever books are sold.
All right, everybody, it's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcast. Yes, it is that time of year again. There's a show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards, UFO Undercover, in the category of entertainment. UFO Undercover brings you some of the most revealing and current research that is being done with respect to alien abductions and contact. Host Joe Montaldo has been an abduction researcher for over 35 years and is uniquely qualified to bring you live interviews with some of the most well-known researchers in ufology. Go to podcastawards.com to nominate UFO Undercover in the category of entertainment. That's podcastawards.com, and please take a moment and get out and vote now.
All right, everybody, it's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcasts. There's an amazing show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. The Outer Realm in the category of Best Female Hosted Podcast. The Outer Realm is a very popular show hosted by Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, which boasts millions of listeners each week who are well known for and have been complimented on their very laid-back, roundtable style of interviewing. Together, this dynamic duo brings you the best of the best with guests from around the world who are well-versed within their respective fields of ufology, paranormal, esoteric, and other areas of high strangeness, and more. So go to podcastawards.com to nominate The Outer Realm in the category Best Female Hosted Podcast. That's podcastawards.com, and please take a moment and do it now.
You are listening to UPRN, United Public Radio Network, coming to you live on 105.3 right up to 107.7 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. UPRNtalkradio.com.
When they are consuming your minds and your thoughts and your dreams, from the angels to the demons and to the mysteries unseen, there is no need to worry. There is no need for dread. It's just time to discuss the thing at the foot of the bed.
Good evening, and if you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Thing at the Foot of the Bed on United Public Radio Network on 105.3 and 107.7 out of the beautiful city of New Orleans, Louisiana. I am one of your hosts, Lorilei Potvin, and I will introduce my co-host, David Hanzel, in just a second. Hello, Zachary Powers. We see you here. If you guys would like to join us live tonight and be part of the conversation, please head over to either UFO Paranormal Radio YouTube or Facebook page. You can go to my Facebook page, Lorilei Potvin, which is open to the public. You can also go to both of our YouTube channels. David's is The Spirit Experience, and mine is the Angel Rock the Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin. Get mixed up here. I have two shows on the network, and I also have the Angel Rock on Monday nights here, 6 to 8 p.m. So please tune in for that live. We have lots of fun on there as well, lots of guests. And we are streaming to you on Roku tonight. So we are on TV. We are under the UFO Paranormal Radio channel. You sign in, you're going to look it up, and you're going to be looking for UFO space P as in paranormal in the channel store. There's going to be a list that comes up. There's about 3 we're about third or fourth one down. You're going to find us and just highlight that and click in. You can watch many of our great shows on there that we have. So like I said, we're now on TV. Also, if you like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe, as we have many new hosts and some of us oldie moldies like myself that have been around here for a while. Some great shows. There's content for everybody. And when we are not streaming live, which is practically every day of the week, we have the archive server tuning in. We have, I think this network's been here for almost 25 years. So we have great content and shows all the way back. It just randomly picks shows. Lastly, if you're on Facebook and you've never been here before, welcome. But also, please head over to StreamYard.com/Facebook to give them permission to use either your picture and your name. Or if you don't want to do that, please just tell us who you are, because we have no idea. You just come up as Facebook user. And here is my amazing co-host, David Hanzel. Hello. Oh, I have to say hi to J.H. Baumgartner. Hi, Liam. Hi, Shannon. Hi, Nicole. Go ahead. Sorry, Dave.
Hi, everybody, as well. I was going to do the same thing. Zachary, Nicole, Shannon, Liam, JH, whoever else is on here that I'm not getting. Welcome, you guys. My name is David Hanzel. I'm a spiritual medium. I also have another podcast called Mystic Stew, which is a pre-recorded short-form podcast where I just talk about all kinds of crazy things. The other day, I just talked about mystics and sages. I wrote up an essay on that because I just very interested in those things. So today, I guess we're gonna
big over.
Me and Lorilei, so anybody is first time listener, Lorilei and I talk when we can during the week before the show. Lorilei is in Canada, and I'm in the States. I'm in North Carolina.
I forgot to tell them who I am, actually. See, I got mixed up because we're going to try and shorten our intro. I will tell you, I'm a Canadian clairvoyant medium, Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher, mentor, and nurse. See, David got all mixed up. That's why I got to practice these things.
The intro you did, though, was perfection. It was.
I forgot to tell them who I am.
Don't pay any attention to the girl behind the curtain. She's just, but no, it was. The intro was perfect. Anyway, our show is all about talking about little kind of the strange stuff, and it came up that usually we get scared at night when we're in bed, and there's always that thing at the foot of the bed, and that's kind of what we do. Is we just talk about the strange and unusual, and we will give you everything that we can from our personal experiences, and when we speak to spirits. Because both of us are mediums, both of us are clairvoyant, we're cleared out, man. We've got all the clairs going on.
We get EVPs. I'm going to share this. Hi, Sandra Sharp, because we've got some.
Hi, Sandra.
We've got some new people here. J.H. Baumgartner is somebody I have met. He's over in Austria. I've highlighted his comment. He's into EVPs and spooky stuff and things like this. He's a very different way of investigating paranormally, but I'm going to let him know. And most of you know, if you were here last week, because I played it numerous times, I helped produce on the network and a new show on here, Spirit Switchboard, on Friday, which I will be producing tomorrow as well. Friday shows, the Allens Investigate and Spirit Switchboard. And I don't think I would have caught this, except I had my headphones on. I was doing something else, but I need to be available in case anything happened during the show. And the host of this show, Carrie Lynn, was interviewing for her 13th show. She's one of the newer hosts, amazing medium, spiritual teacher, really great lady. And she was interviewing Rick McCallum, who is a stuntman, and he's an author and paranormal investigator. And he filled in for Kane Hodder, for Jason Voorhees, and most of the Friday the 13th.
Oh, that's how the name sounded familiar.
Yeah, for the stunts. So what happened was, Carrie Lynn says to him, by the way, have you ever had an attachment? And I have my headphones on. All of a sudden I hear something that almost sounds like, when somebody's got a straw. I know you've heard it, Dave, and some of you have, as you're sucking up. Hi, Howie, sucking up the bottom liquid in a glass with a straw. And I'm going, who is doing that? And I could still see my phone. I look over. Ooh, nobody's drinking. That's got to be an EVP. So I mark it. I go back. And actually what happened after Carrie Lynn asked this, you hear almost a moan, a male moan. And it literally sounds like that. We discussed it I think it was last week or the week before.
Yeah.
I mean, some people thought it sounded like a dinosaur, like Jurassic Park, but I think it was a growl. So we've had EVPs on this show, I'm pretty sure. So we get them too on this network. I wanted to throw that in here because we get strange.
EVPs are so hard because some do sound like growls, and I don't know if is that I thought about this. Or is the other side so PO'd at us that they growl every time we speak to them? Or are we hearing it like that? That was, though, like you said, that EVP had a little growl to it.
That was right. It happened right when Carrie Lynn said, "Rick, have you ever had an attachment?" It was literally like somebody spoke up from the background. I'm not saying he does. I'm just saying it was incredible timing that it kind of kicked in at that time.
Well, in atmosphere, and I wouldn't say, well, I mean, I don't know for sure because I don't know him, and I don't know, I can't say for sure.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, I can say though, when we are involved in things that have to do with something that's unseen, unheard of, and even though it's a horror movie and they're fun, Friday the 13th, it's amazing. I love Friday the 13th, all of them pretty much.
Yes, we talked about it with Kevin Bacon in the first one.
But when we're in those movies, when we are involved in something that is strange, there are certain emotions that are going to come up that might bring in things. And I wondered, and I'm not saying he has an attachment, but I'm saying he may have something that follows him around because
I was just thinking that, or followed him home and was hiding in the background and decided to speak up. Why not?
Yeah, and so that could be. You never know. We just don't know. I mean, that's why we do research. That's why people who do paranormal research, I find the credible ones. It's very important because that's how we cipher through and find out what's what. Because in all honesty, we don't know.
Yeah, but what the really weird thing is, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't hear it while they were recording it. And had I not had headphones on, I don't think I would have noticed it. But you didn't need headphones to hear this. It was really clear and loud. But I think because I had the headphones on and I was paying attention, I was actually doing some resin work over there in the corner. I'm downstairs tonight because the other half is out at the camp. It is about 110 degrees with the Humidex, and I would have been melting if I was upstairs in my bedroom. So where I usually am. So I'm downstairs where it's nice and cool.
And I was going to say, with that EVP, though, Lorilei didn't even mark it for me or anything. By marking it, I say she wrote me and said, hey, listen to 57 seconds and a half, and that's where it is. Mm-hmm. She just told me it was on there, and I just started listening to it.
Well, because I cut it. So what I did was I put a little bit of the speech, so you hear Carrie Lynn ask Rick, her guest, have you ever had an attachment? Then you hear it. Yeah, I didn't tell anybody where it was. And then I put just a little bit of speech. So I cut it down to about 12 seconds from a 2-hour show. So that you obviously, I hope that you go check it out. It's an amazing show. We have great guests and shows on here. But I wanted people to be able to hear it. And if I just clipped the EVP, that didn't give you much context either, right?
Yeah, no, and I didn't need it though. I just heard it. I heard it perfectly. I didn't even know the context of it when I played it. I just knew, I'm like, oh, I heard low, grumbly male voice.
What the heck was that?
Yeah. I wanted to say to JH, you said JH is a paranormal investigator in the Netherlands?
No, in Austria. We've had many a conversation. I love him.
JH,
I think it's Irvin. I never say your name properly, and I'm so sorry. He calls me Lorilei because my name is spelled that way, and he speaks German, English, I believe Austrian. He's an amazing guy. Actually, you know how he investigates, and I've never heard of anybody doing this, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Jürgen, is he'll use a K2 meter, and I believe he gets like EVPs. And you can finish. Actually, type it in if you can, because if I remember, he uses the Jürgen. That's what I thought. I never say it right, and he always says it for me. And I apologize. I know exactly who you are because we've had many a conversation.
It's like hand lotion, but with a Y instead of a J. Jürgen.
Yes. Well, he does. He uses the K2, and I think he uses ghost boxes, but I think do you use Ouija too? I think you do, Jürgen. He sent me some pictures. He's got some incredible stuff and sent me some pictures. I don't know how you're going to, mostly K2. Yeah. I know that's, I thought EVPs and the K2, which I thought was really interesting. For people that don't know what a K2 is, it's going to show you if there's energy basically nearby, EMF and things like that, right?
Yeah.
Have you heard of people investigating? Because it's an interesting way to do it, but I can see why he would do it.
I've been with investigators. They've done all kinds of weird things. I like to try stuff. If I go, I have not been in so long and I so miss it. But I want to do it again. I think it's really quite interesting. I am also of that side of the world is where my family is from. I mean, my dad's side is German. They're so I don't even speak. Some of them don't speak English at all, and I don't speak German, and I haven't even met half of them. But I think it'd be really quite interesting to do paranormal ghost hunts in other countries, because everybody does them different. I know the one main thing everybody asks me is if you go to another country and they speak German, can you only understand the German? It's like, well, no, a medium we don't, because we hear the words as we're supposed to or need to. But I don't know, can I ask if JH, when you get EVPs, are they in English or are they in
Jurgen? Yeah, see what he says. He speaks, he always apologizes for his English because we voice message back and forth. Hi, Neil Carr. He says, hey, you two. Always great to catch your show live. What an amazing time to be alive and be moderately attuned and aware. Awesome. Because Jurgen, I don't think he's ever sent me an EVP, but I don't even know how Jurgen found me, but I'm so glad he did, because we've never talked live. We always plan to, but with the time difference. But I think this is one of the first times he's caught the show live because he's with the time difference. But he shares a lot. So this is what he says. Also, both are in English and German.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say, because even the folklore around my family, I mean, I don't know if every family is like this, but like our fairy tales were not very happy fairy tales, you know. Fairy tales aren't. I actually had one of the Grimm's fairy tale books. Grimm's, the ones before they were like.
That's what I had as a little girl.
When they were changed to English, I had the original ones, which were like scary, actually. But I got that when I think I was 30 years old. Somebody gifted that to me for my
birthday. I was a little kid, and it was so cool, this version. Because I could read really young. So I remember reading them like when I was about 4 or 5. I would read them.
I had the American version where everything was a happy ending and all that, you know, and it's like, no, the real version. I want the real version. Kind of like, I've always wanted to, if I was writing a book, I've always wanted to write about Hansel and Gretel, but from the witch's point of view, where Hansel and Gretel were actually the evil ones, because in the original books, I believe they're supposed to be cannibals. There was like no food anywhere. And that's why the parents got rid of the children, because I could not feed them. They could not do nothing. So they lured them out into the woods, but there was cannibalism happening at that time. And that's why I think they're talking about the witch eating the kids. I don't know how the whole thing goes, but I would like to hear it from the witch's point of view, where it's the kids who were after the witch because they were hungry.
Okay. Well, okay, let's put it out there this way, though. Any self-respecting witch, especially back in the day, I think was quite capable of handling 2 children that were hungry.
And they're just fairy tales, but I always say there's a little truth to everything. So that had to come from something. And just so if there's any people who are witches watching, we know you don't eat children.
No.
So we because I have much respect for that. Not eating children, but for the witch part of it.
Well, we talked about this last night. I was on the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche, and stay tuned for part 2 tonight. Amelia Pisano and Michelle DeRoche, who's also our station manager, and she's been on many a paranormal show. She was actually a consultant on our own episode on Paranormal Survivor, but I didn't know her back then. But we talked about this because the more we talk, I swear to God, the more her and I have in common. You know, we don't connect that often, but when we get a chance. So I didn't realize she spoke French like English, and so do I. And we both say we're rusty now because you don't have anybody really to speak it with. I also speak Spanish too and can read and write it. I get the two mixed up. But anyways, she's traveled all over the world. And she said when she went to Paris, France, she actually got EVPs in Parisian French, which we're taught over here when you take French, because they say Canada is bilingual, right?
Yeah.
But we're taught Parisian French, but the type of French that is spoken here is Quebecois French, which is not even close. She said the EVPs came through in French, which I found interesting.
I think that I know. I was going to say it's got to come through in other ways, and you wonder too if people in like in America were doing an investigation. Have you had anybody report that they heard they couldn't understand what? That's why I'm so weirded out sometimes about in America. They want to quickly put a word behind the EVP instead of like doing a control group or something and having people hear it or something like that. And I wonder if sometimes the words I don't hear is because a spirit that's speaking in another language.
Well, I know one of the EVPs that was caught when I called in. It was a Halloween show on Jason Bland's show. That is like a class A plus EVP that was caught. I was not planning on calling in. I was actually watching the Chester Bennington Memorial Concert for Linkin Park and went, oh crap, I forgot Paranormal Soup. So I headed over there. I thought I'd catch the last 5 minutes, and Jason had actually been able to run the show an extra half hour. He got permission. I was the last caller of the night. Apparently nothing came through on the device they were using, really. And when I called in, holy crap, I called from the most active part of our house and our previous home. This thing sounded like it should speak Slytherin the way it was talking, and it kept saying, I'm searching, but it had this whispery, raspy voice. But the creepy part, something came through in this male voice, just a regular male voice. We have never been able to figure out what this was, and people are going nuts. Like, you can hear them because it's on video, and it had to be another language. I don't know if it's a dead language or if it actually was reversed or what, but we've never been able to figure out what this clip is. I do have that pinned at the top of my profile for anybody that wants to check it out. I have some of the pictures we released to the public. I have the 2 EVPs that were into Paranormal Soup because they were both, I believe, Class A type EVPs, and from the most active part of my home. And then the episode that we filmed, because you guys can have a listen. You see what you think. It is crazy what comes through there.
Yeah, I remember the coolest. I think I told you about that ghost box when I was up in Virginia when me and Jessica were doing an investigation at this inn up there. And we also did a gallery reading there as well, which was really quite interesting. In that gallery reading in this old place that had like no electricity, no nothing. It was just lights and candles and all that. Mm-hmm. We stayed there overnight, and we stayed in the same room because I was in one of the rooms, and there was a spirit there that would scream, and it kept, and it was, you could hear it a little bit outside, but it was mainly internal. I'd be sitting there and literally going, oh my God, who's doing that? And they kept going, what? I'm like, they're screaming and yelling. But anyway, we knew where that came from. It was a certain lady who liked to be there. She wasn't screaming mean. It was just the way I was hearing it. But we had a ghost box, and not one of the pre-done one. This was 6 years ago. This is like one that was just made, they had white noise coming through. Yeah. And I can't remember her friend's name. I'm just going to say Kip, just to say something. I can't remember his name. But we were there, and I said, one of us had said to each other, I feel like there's someone here, don't you? She's like, yeah, there's totally someone in this room. So we had asked, we said, okay, we know there's somebody here. We're mediums. How many people are here? And it was just, this is one of those things that just had white noise, not a bunch of stuff coming through. Right. It just went 4. So we're like, okay, we heard 4. So all of a sudden we're like, can you tell us who you are or whatever? And all of a sudden it waited like about a minute and a half. And all of a sudden it went, Dan, Greg, Kevin, Kip. And Kevin is my brother who passed away the year before that. Dan and Greg are both my best friends. One took his own life years ago. And the other one, he died, I believe. He had a virus and he died. And Kip was her friend who had also died, and we had been talking to him just like weeks before that. We didn't have anything that had that names on it. Those names just came in order. So that one night, I remember that night for me was the end all be all for me of proof that those things work, because that was interesting. I don't like the telephone ghost boxes, the ones the apps, because a lot of them are presets, and I don't like when they put preset negative words in it. But I understand why some do, but that's because kids play with them, and
what I don't like is, and everybody has preferences, that's why there's different communication devices, is when people have a lot of reverb or echo on it, and it doesn't matter what you listen with. You have a good dinner. Debbie says she's got to run, get dinner on the plates. Thanks for popping in. We appreciate it.
Bye, Charlie.
I don't like and somebody said hi to you. Kim said hi, David. So I don't like when people do that, because, and they'll tell you what they're hearing, but it's like, how could you hear that in a million years? Whereas, there's some really good devices out there that don't have all that echoey back noise. And I'm not crazy either about the original type that just scan the radio waves, because I think that's kind of a twist personally, like they're really trying to grab at things. Like, you'll ask a question and I understand that you get a response and it's like a radio type thing. Yeah. To me, I want to hear the person's voice. I want to hear the person's voice, or whatever it is. What do you have to say? And it's clear. There's no shadow of a doubt. Even if you have to listen with headphones to hear, like maybe somebody whispering, or, just using the old fashioned, I have one, it's upstairs, old fashioned, the tape recorder, handheld. Because you know what? You're not messing with that. You're going to get what you're going to get. And if you hear it, you hear it.
I'm going to show you guys something an experiment that I did. And I'm going to keep doing this until I get a good one.
Can I tell Stephanie something? Hi, Stephanie. Thanks for telling us who you are. She says, damn, I wish I joined this earlier. Don't worry, you guys. There's always a replay. Always. So Facebook always has it. We have it backed up on YouTube. It's on the UPRN channel. And there's archives of every single show, no matter what it is, on anywhere where you listen to podcasts or talk radio. So you can always watch the beginning again. We get people lots of times joining it at the last minute, forgetting. And Facebook's been a little bit naughty saying that we're live still. So I always feel bad for people that go, hi, and they're asking questions and we're not there. But
it's there.
Okay, sorry.
So if you guys, I call this my seance bell. Mm-hmm. And so if you guys, I won't go into the whole seance thing, but it's basically I put stuff down on the table because we do it in the complete darkness. I'm not I don't know, but I don't believe I'm a physical medium, which means I don't provide a voice box in the air with goo for people. Not yet. Maybe it's maybe when I'm old. Who knows? But this is one of the things I put on the table, because when we're all holding hands or doing something, I always let Spirit know I have something there. So if you can pick that up or make a noise, we know it's you. Now, here's a funny thing. One day, and I'm going to be careful how I say this, because last time it got me into some freaky trouble, but it was funny. So one time in my other house, this is the one where the light bulb came off the window and went to the floor where I was gone without breaking. But this bell was back in the other room, and I had been, I think, God, for a couple hours, I was investigating, talking, and studying on Fae and elementals. And I love them very much. And I would say stuff like, hey, dudes, I'm totally open if you want to come say hi. I have all respect for you. And at one time I remember saying, I have a bell in the back room, so if you're ever here, just ring the bell. And I kid you not, one day I was sitting in my bedroom with my cat, and it was real quiet. My TV, I just turned off my TV, and I was getting ready to get up out of bed to go get something out of the fridge. And all of a sudden I hear,
Avon calling.
That one freaked me out, because there was nobody in my house but me and my cat.
Well,
And
you gave them an open invitation, Dave. So they
yeah,
let you know
I did,
you were
but
there.
I totally gave them that. But I've always kept the spell since, and I know this noise. If I hear it again, I know they're back. It only ever happened once,
It's
and
probably going to ring tonight. I have a feeling it's going to ring tonight. Let's hope it happens while we're live. I want to answer this question. So Kim asks, what would you recommend to use, such as a spirit box, if either of you use them? But I also want to invite anybody that's in the chat. And if you're listening and you want to join in, and so we can see you and interact with you and answer your questions, head over to UFO Paranormal Radio, either Facebook, YouTube. Dave's YouTube channel is The Spirit Experience. He also has a group on Facebook. He's streaming. I'm streaming on my Facebook profile under Lorilei Potvin. It's open. Anybody can go there. I have a closed group called Paranormal University where I'm streaming tonight too. If you are there, we can see your comments, like the people we're interacting with, and we'd love to have you join us. So anybody, please feel free to share in the chat what you would recommend to Kim. Now, Kim, before I make a recommendation, and this does not come from a place of fear, but remember, whether it's a Ouija board, whether it's a pendulum, whether it's a spirit box, okay, I believe that you need to be able to open the session and close the session properly, as well as protect yourself. Dave, what's your thoughts? And I'm going to make a suggestion. I know you are too, but what's your suggestion? Would you agree?
yeah, I agree with all you said. I always do, even though my protection is implied. But even when I get in my car every day for the last 6 years,
Me
I get in my
too.
car.
Yeah.
The first words out of my mouth are "Angels around me, angels surround me," as it should protect me from accident or incident. And then I always ask them to bless everybody and me. And I say it's so fast now; it's just automatic.
I say while I'm driving, angels, please protect me and all those around me. But when I mentor and work with people and teach them that once you've got a practice down, I teach people how to associate it with a certain word. Doesn't matter what is, but when you've got it so down pat, like what Dave just said, he says it so quick, it could be pickle. But you've set pickle to work with that energy and run that whole protection. You can do that, right? It's not going to hurt anybody. You set that intention. It can work that way.
Whenever I want to talk to the energy, we're going to call it the energy that is Jesus. Mm-hmm. We'll say, all I got to say is the word blue.
Yep. See,
and it takes me right back to that place. The meditation for it is already implied. The first time I did the meditation, I did a keyword. I did a trigger work with it.
That's exactly what it's called, a trigger word. Okay, Kim, I see your comment, but I'm going to add a little bit more. You say, yes, I have a pendulum and dowsing rods. Perfect. Same type of thing we're talking about. I do the same, welcome guides and thank them. Yes, but you also have to protect your energy in your space, because I've said this and I could be wrong, but I'm going to tell you, when you're dealing with something and you have no idea what's coming through, okay, even if it may show you, if you get lucky or whatever, you think you see it, you feel it, whatever it is, when you're dealing with something that is older than time, and I'm not saying this to scare people, I think it's a respectful way to deal with things and make sure you don't end up with problems and nobody stays with unwelcome visitors, is that you set the parameters. You call in, like you say, you may welcome your guides. You can ask them to be with you. If you work with the angels, you can ask for Archangel Michael to protect your space. You can welcome, like you say, welcome them in. But when you end the session, you tell them you need to leave now. I'm closing the session. If you want, call in your guides, whoever, to make sure it's closed. It's a whole little thing. You can protect it with a bubble. You can set the intention that nothing negative come through. Your only positive, loving spirits are welcome. Doesn't mean that's going to happen, but you're setting the parameters. Okay.
You just I have parameters, which a lot of people, I have boundaries with spirits. But then again, I leave a lot of my boundaries open too, but it's for different reasons why I do it. I don't suggest you do it unless you've been talking to these guys for a super long time.
I agree. Yeah.
But you should always do something. As far as the spirit box, Kim, listen, I don't own one.
And then I'm going to answer, Dave, after you. But go ahead.
Yeah, we'll both give you something. I know that there is a wonderful, and if I can remember her name, I'll get it out here. I believe she's from England, but she makes spirit boxes and she tells people how to make them. She's actually got a YouTube video to make a spirit box out of old amplifiers and this stuff. So you can do that. I know that you can go on Amazon and buy a spirit box, but I don't know how good that would be. I really don't. My favorite thing that I like to do, and I'll even do it in my house, go on Amazon or something, and you can get a little handheld EVP recorder or a recorder. That's your best friend, and it doesn't have a tape in it, so you don't have to lose it. It just holds on to it. If I can, I'll find mine and bring it on one time, because I did a real long session one time. But mine is when I have it set, as soon as I start talking, it starts recording, and then it stays recording for a couple minutes and then automatically shuts off. And it doesn't go on again until I start talking.
Yeah.
So hopefully whatever responds to me does it like in the first 5 minutes, which isn't always true either.
Okay, so what I suggest, and again, I suggest that you play around with things, you talk to different people. So Howie, if you're still here, Jürgen, who else have we got in here? Debbie was here. I know she uses them. Let's see who else is here. Sandra may have some suggestions. Zach, whomever that's here that does some investigation, please feel free to share. So for myself, I don't use them that often. I won't use them in my house because I have had a little bit of, I haven't opened this up to the public, but I have had some activity at this house. It's been as of late. Michelle happened to mention it last night. So I said, I haven't really told people, but yes, I have had some very crazy stuff for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, but it was never dealt with at my previous home. Anyways, so I don't encourage always, communication, but sometimes I do. And you know what? There's shows that I really respect. I respect the Foreman brothers on Paranormal Nightmare. And believe it or not, they just use paid ghost box. There's, I think it's, wait, I'm looking, Ghost Tube, sorry. So I have a bunch on my phone. You'll hear people say apps are crap. They don't work. But you know what? Try it out. Check them out. See if there's free ones. Check them out. See if it works for you. Different things work with different
I would say
people.
just ask, Jürgen just said that. He said, forget the spirit box. You have to build it on your own. I did, and it works, but I'm an AV and communications technician.
Yeah, so you can build them, but for people that can't, Jürgen, like that's what she's asking. Like I just bought, I haven't used, I've got Spirit Talker. I've got, I don't know if it's, I got an Ovulus. I've got Necrophonicon, I think I paid for. There's a whole bunch. So I like to watch on different, like I said, I watch what happens on shows of people I respect that I believe are not faking. I enjoy, believe it or not, the Paranormal Files. The reason why he is just crazy when he reacts. I'm sorry, Colin, I doubt you'll ever see this, but if you do, he's young. He's intelligent. He's made it very clear that he does not fake stuff. And you will see he's gone to some notorious places that supposedly have crazy activity. He's got nothing. And it just, sometimes that happens. Yeah. So, and when I realize that it's pitch dark, it doesn't look pitch dark to us when it's being filmed, but sometimes I'll show you. So when something lights up, he'll just scream, and that kind of gets me a little bit. I'm sorry, but it does. I understand a freak show, but he uses different devices, or you'll see certain, again, Foreman brothers will tell you if they're testing something out, what they think of it. So do your research, ask here. Yeah, Howie, please let us know. Yeah, Howie, what are you using? What do you think?
Howie's on Facebook. Kim's in the group with us.
Yeah, so go ahead, type it here. Let us know. That's why I'm asking you, because everybody prefers different things. And I think with people's energy too.
Absolutely.
Different things work with different people. So see what you prefer, see what works for you. And again, if you can talk to people, because I think it's an investment, like Jürgen just said, it's very expensive. He made his own, but there are people that make them and sell them. But again, I wouldn't myself, if you're just getting into this and you know what you're doing, it sounds like you already said thank you for the advice, but you do the things we suggested, which is awesome. Talk to different people. See what people's opinions are, and do your research. Take a look, and if you can, try things out for free first and see how they work for you. That would be my suggestion.
Yep, just ask around, because some paranormal people, they'll come out with a whole list of stuff, and then you'll have other ones they say, I have pen and a paper and my own experience, and that's fine too. It's whatever you need for it. I was going to say to you guys who watch paranormal shows, I just want to touch on something Lorilei said. And
I'm not talking TV. Well, actually, Paranormal Nightmare.
It can be TVs or YouTube. But anytime you see anything where people are investigating and it looks like you can see them and all that, in real life, it is dark. you're seeing it through a what is that, infrared camera? They're showing
Yeah,
night.
IRL or sometimes night vision or. So so Jurgen says I prefer the easy stuff. Howie said I'm on both on phone, on Facebook, and YouTube at work. Just so be advised, Howie is Ed Odell on Facebook because some very nasty person, I'm going to call him nasty, got control of Howie's Facebook profile. As some people will hack things, he hasn't been able to get it back, so he had to restart. So he's under Ed on Facebook, Ed Odell, and Howie Odell on YouTube. But you can find him. He's awesome. He's got the Riff Network. I can give him a shout out. He's got great programs over there. He supports Art Network hugely. He had Dave and I on his show, The Orion Effect, a couple Sundays ago. So Kim wants to have a side comment. Can we talk about David's cool swinging chair? What a great meditation chair.
The other time I've had this chair for years, and I used to sit in it, and then when I moved here I never did, but when we started doing the show I was sitting at my desk, and it got to be so annoying just sitting at my desk for 2 hours, and I couldn't move my computer to my couch, so I said, oh hell, I got a swinging chair. So now I'm just a swinger. I just swing on over, and it's fun.
And we got your audio fixed because at first it was a little bit quiet, but it works perfect now. Dave's a wizard at this.
I can't meditate in this chair. When I meditate, I can't do it in this chair. I have to be sitting completely still and completely straight up. And otherwise, it doesn't work too much.
Well, Jurgen says he's got one too, and Howie says I love Dave's chair. Now Neil says I came across a pair of investigators who are creating YouTube content who are fun to watch because they honestly get spooked in the locations. Their channel, is Mission Terror. I haven't checked that out. You know what I just realized? We have Shannon here tonight, and Shannon, who is a nurse, has the Paranormal Poopers. I believe she's working evening shift over there. For those of you that don't know, this is an older group. She works in one of the hospitals here that's a bit more of a rehab, so older people, I'll say there, and they gather around the iPad as Shannon is listening, doing her paperwork on the evenings at work, and they listen to our show. So if y'all are there, we're giving you a huge shout out. We're glad you're here, as we are with everybody here.
She said in the beginning she's not with them tonight.
Yeah, she says I'm getting motion sick watching Dave.
Can you imagine? Do you know how many times? You want to know something about when you're in a medium, or even like you guys are all into this stuff? How many times, if you had a swinging chair, would you walk into your room and look at it and go, "Is that thing moving?"
Because big time. But you know what I'm thinking?
This chair has moved on its own.
Oh crap! Yeah. You know what? And Jurgen says he got it from a pilot. I'm thinking he's talking about the swinging chair. But you know what we are going to talk about tonight? We do want to sort of touch on it. There's a few things.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the meetings in the U.S. about the UFOs? But before we go there, how many of y'all have checked out scary things caught on doorbell cams and with Alexa and Siri? No paranormal poopers? Oh, they need to come find me. Oh, she's on a different unit tonight. Well, if they pop in, tell them we said hi. She said, I think they forgot to come. Oh, we'll have to send out telepathy. Come and join us. Come and join us.
Let me see. I'm sorry. I'm going to quickly find that doorbell. This.
Do you want me to play it, Dave? So if you send it to me, I'll play it if you want.
Yeah, I'm going to try to find. Go ahead. Can you talk just for a second?
Yeah. Okay. So Sandra says I don't have any equipment. Emily does. And Nicole says yes. I'm not sure what yes is, but yes. Okay, cool. Nicole, you do investigations too, don't you? So like I said, if you're comfortable, share what you guys use for communication. But the one thing I want to point out is that people don't realize, right? Like Ouija boards, I understand they get a collective negative rap, being from around the world, just like the Bible has much more of a positive, energetic, global collective, if you will, right? But what a lot of people don't realize is whether it's a pendulum, whether it is dowsing rods, whether it is a Ouija board, whether it's a ghost box, whatever it is, we're opening up communication with the other side. And where I was going, and I think we went off on another tangent, is I don't care how good you are or how sensitive you are. As a human being, we are not 100% infallible. And as I always say, if somebody tells you that they guarantee you 100% every time, they're either not from this planet or run, because they're not being truthful. And when something is millennia older than we are as one tiny little human being in this particular lifetime, believe me, there have been many who have been fooled by very good intentions, something able to mimic something that's very near and dear to somebody's heart. That's why we talk about protecting yourself and setting boundaries and guidelines. So Nicole says, I haven't done investigations yet, but want to. And yes, I have seen the doorbell cams. Thank you, because I was talking about so many things. And a friend of mine has one he caught. Oh, Nicole, too bad. If you can, feel free to send. Most of you guys are on my Facebook profile or Dave's. If you can, send them on Messenger, and if you're okay with it, we'll play them tonight. We can share them on the show.
I can't. I'm gonna stop looking because I can't. I found every fake one in the world. I bring it up, fake one, fake one, fake one, fake one, but I can't. That one was. I
Is
don't
that
know.
the one you sent me? Strange entity captured on doorbell camera.
Yeah, I think so. Did I send it to you?
I think so. Here, it's on YouTube. Straight here, I'll send it to you again, and you can see if it's yours.
That one got me. I was trying to figure that one out.
Oh, I did. Yeah, that one was good. Okay, so Shannon says my Google Home will randomly start talking when TV isn't on and no conversation is happening. Yeah, there's crazy stuff. Facebook user, I'm not sure who you are, so if you can let us know who you are, great. If you want to stay anonymous, that's okay. Or if you want to go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and give them permission to use your picture and name, and we'll know who you are. But they said, so I became clairaudient a while back. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on spirits and capabilities. Do you think some of them can talk where I can hear them and others don't have that skill but can use other means to communicate with us embodied folks? I can
speak a lot about clairaudience.
Stephanie. Okay, Stephanie. Thanks, Stephanie.
Clairaudience. This is a theory I have, and I'd asked my guides about it. I mean, if this doesn't jive with you, don't worry about it. It's okay. So clairaudience is pretty much, a lot of times, most clairaudience, I would say 90% of clairaudience is internal, which means it's subjective. It's within your mind. It's a thought that's not yours, and there's a voice behind it. Mine that are like that are a different voice. That's how I didn't even have to guess if it's me or not, because I hear it in somebody else's voice. I do hear outside the ear sometimes, but when you ask that question, and that's because I had that same question, how come not every freaking spirit just talks to me?
And I have an answer too. So
yeah, and there's different ways to look at it, but a lot of times, if you're clairaudient, you're basically have talent or a gift to form words out of thoughts, and that's why you're hearing them internally. So you might not always get like a spirit could be literally showing me something, but internally I'm processing it into speech because I'm not understanding it. That could be. I don't know for sure. I don't know why each and every one don't. I don't have a complete answer for you. I find more and more though, we don't have a mouth on the other side, okay?
That's where I was going to go with this.
We don't have we're spirit. We're not human people with a voice box. So they're getting us to interpret it internally as a voice.
Okay,
and
so what I'm going to add,
energy can develop words, and that's how we can get EVPs, I guess I should say.
Okay, so what I'm going to add is my biggest shock for me, because I'm very clairaudient. I don't hear, as I know, I think it may have been Stephanie who said the first time they heard a spirit, literally thought someone had broken into their house. It was as though another human was in there with you, but it wasn't. Okay, so I don't hear, I heard voices on the external. Yes, especially at my previous home, and tons of them, including one that was my doppelganger and would mimic my voice and my children's and my partner's, but that's a whole different story. My biggest shock for me, because mediumship is one of my newer gifts that has sort of evolved over the years, was the fact that it was like literally going to a different country for me with spirit, because spirit, you're right, like why don't they just communicate telepathically with us? But what I'm feeling is that spirit, especially when it's positive, is going to communicate with you in the best way possible. Like Dave said, they don't have a mouth. So everything is done telepathically. Even when you get into the alien and UFO stuff, right? It's telepathically. They don't use speech. That's basically a human thing. So I find when I'm communicating, and I never understood this before my mediumship gifts came in, because I'd see people and go, well, why can't they just hear? But what it is I find for myself that spirit will use many different types of communication with me, even in one session. So I may hear half the message. Like Shannon's dad came through one night, and I was doing free one question readings. Holy crap. He was so loud, and his energy was so big with his laugh, like just the most beautiful energy, right? I could hear him. I could see him. Whereas other people, I've had them give me a feeling, a color. And I know Dave's going to concur 100%. Audio, also, pictures, like video, like all different things. And I think when they're coming from a good space, I think what they're trying to do is communicate in the best way possible the message they're trying to give you. So I almost feel like it's not just audio they're going to give us. They're going to give us a whole well-rounded experience. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, and if you want to take that even further, think about this. And this is why I say it's not really speech. Our minds are formulated interpreting this. Let's just say, if there was a extraterrestrial that came to your house tonight and knocked on your door, even though you might not be clairaudient, he's going to be able to telepathically talk to you, and you're going to hear it as words. The reason is we internally already know how to do this. You're literally born with it. This is how you speak normally. So I think in those instances that that part of you just kicks in, that memory, and that's why you remember it. I don't know why every spirit doesn't use it, but I think it's actually it would make more sense to me when they use a combination, because I know people who speak English to me, and when they talk, I don't understand them. I'm like, what? I don't know what a damn thing you just said. Yeah. And so, but if they showed me a picture, I might understand it. Or people speak differently. Like when I make TikToks, I explain things like I would explain it to a 3-year-old. I'm not saying everybody's stupid. I'm just saying I explain it as easy as I can. I relate it to human stuff. Spirits do the same to us. And I've spoken to some spirits that were way above my intellect level, but I understood what they were telling me because they showed me in different ways besides speech.
And sometimes I just met with the two ladies I usually meet with Spirit with the other side, and we have a particular scientist that we're connecting with on the other side, and he loves riddles, and he gives everything to us in riddles, and we keep going, dude, really, like just give it to us. But no. And I guess he must know from the other side that eventually all three of us together are going to put 2 and 2 together. But it is just crazy. And some of the stuff we get, we know it's coming from spirit because we don't know anything about it. And then you look it up and you're able to, like, holy crap, but we were just told it all connects, right? So spirit, I think it depends on, I guess, I feel they communicate with you in the best way possible so that you get the whole experience and the meaning isn't misconstrued in any way. But what I want to add to really quickly, this isn't in spirit, but when you said we're hardwired for this, Dave, I just seen a video today, wasn't looking for it, and it was a scientific study that they have proven that when mothers are pregnant and they're carrying a child, that the child's stem cells literally pass through to the mother. And they said that that's why they are theorizing. And my grandmother was one of these that say your child is halfway across the world and is hurt or worse, a mother will know instantly. Yep, and my grandmother stood up the minute my uncle, long before I was born, died at 6:03. And sure enough, she was right. So should we answer this question, Dave, or did you want to add something?
No, that's it. But I will say, if anybody here is a medium or something like that, and you want to develop clairaudience, basically your mediumship or your psychic, it's going to work how you learn. So if you were that person in school who had to read the words, then you're going to be clairvoyant. Or if you had to see pictures, you're going to be more clairvoyant than anything. I have to have somebody show me something and say it. So that's what I see. I see spirits showing me things and speaking at the same time. And then I practice listening. I was a musician for a long time, so
You're
I
reading my mind, Dave. I was just going to
yeah,
say that's the best
yeah.
tip I've ever been given. Mhm.
Yep, I was a musician, so I listened. And if you want to develop your clairaudience, when you start listening to music, start picking out separate things from the song. So listen to just the drums on this
Yeah.
one. Listen to just the bass guitar on this one. If
I
you're
find
gonna,
that bass is the best if you're not a musician because it's a little harder to pick up bass in a song depending on what kind of music you listen to.
yeah, and it's got the rhythm in it. But that's how we hear. That's how we hear voice. I mean, that's literally I mean, I'm not kidding you when my thing is called they whisper to me, because that's what it sounds like sometimes. It's like a whisper sometimes. You really have to listen. And there might be other interference going on with it too. I mean, I could hear like four people at once, and I'm like trying to pick out the one voice I need. So you can do stuff like that, music. And lastly, I would say I love reading books, but I don't like to sit and read them. I listen to my books, and I go on long trips. Sometimes I will listen to entire books. I've listened to like 2 or 3 books on a trip. So I'm really good at listening and seeing.
Yeah.
So you just want to take that sense and up it, and then
You know
that's
what's another good tip? I had a mentor, and I always suggest, I know Dave does too, work with various different mentors, because there's nothing wrong with working with one mentor, but then you only learn that way. Whereas if you work with a lot of different mentors, you pick in little bits and pieces, and you're able to take what resonates with you and develop your own style. But one of the other things that somebody did with me, and it was when I first was working with learning how to use my mediumship gifts, was I never met the person. We never met on video. Like, I knew who my mentor was, but what she would do is get students, and she had students from all over the world. And we basically would get introduced to each other on the phone, and we get to talk for about 30 seconds to a minute. And then you had to do a reading. You didn't ask any questions. You didn't know anything, but you really had to tune into that person's voice and energy and make that connection. I am telling you, that has been one of the best things to help with clairaudience and be able to hone that skill. So
Spirit has spirit too when they speak. Like when I hear them, some I hear a lot better than others, but it's their voice pattern too. For some reason, there are certain voice patterns I pick up easier than others.
mm-hmm.
So it's,
So we've got lots of great comments, and we love when you guys do this. We're going to try and get to everything. So I should remind you, I'm going to read Jurgen's question and go down the list. But you are listening, if you're just tuning in, to the thing at the foot of the bed on 105.3 and 107.7 out of the beautiful city of New Orleans, Louisiana, on UFO Paranormal Radio Network, also known as United Public Radio Network, or UPRN. And I'm your host, Lorilei Potvin, with my amazing other host, David Hanzel. And we have our other co-host tonight, Angel, here joining us. Hi, Angel. No, you're not coming. My dog wants to come up here, and she's been sternly told to go here because she wants to join in, and she's not allowed. No, you're not coming. Oh, I spoke too soon.
Angel's a wacky cat, I swear.
Yeah, so I have my German Shepherd here. Stay dog. Okay, so Jurgen says, I got a question to you both. I have a serious investigation here in Austria on August 5th. It's about a very bad place, a house where violence was committed against children. According to the new owner, he asked me and a colleague for help. Maybe you can think of me for a moment on August 5th and send energy if possible. He is talking about, as my co-host before, Seraphine and I used to say, we call them schemians, the D word, we'll call it that. And I'm not afraid of it. Okay, it's just we don't need to give it any energy, this situation, and more evil stuff. So as an investigator, what would you do first? Do you want me to start and you can add in, Dave?
We're gonna have probably a couple different things. So I'm gonna tell you, it's okay to do whatever you feel, I guess. But go ahead, start.
The first thing I would strongly suggest before you go to a place like that is make sure you are very grounded. And I can send you some stuff because I know we've talked off and on, but make sure you are grounded. Make sure that you are not sick. Make sure that you are not in a place of fear when you go in. And it was nice that the person warned you, but they've already given you a preconceived notion about what you're going into, whereas you need to stand in your power. I know I have dealt with this stuff in my previous home, and you don't come from a place of cockiness. You don't come from a place of provoking. You go in and you be firm. And I guess you got to ask yourself, why are you going in there? Because it's very nice if you go in, are you going in to just prove the existence of this? Because you're really leaving somebody hanging that way, and you can leave them in a much worse situation than when you entered there. So just a suggestion, you got to do what you got to do. Yes, you can document what you may pick up and find, but it sounds to me like this person must have reached out for a reason. Maybe they're needing some help. So can you connect them with a team if you're not able to help them and clear something like this that may be able to go in and help them? If maybe you're just there to document and investigate, but I would strongly suggest no provocation or provoking to go in, because believe me, if there's something like that there, they don't need a lot of provoking. They're pretty quiet for a while in there, but they're going to eventually let you know that they're there, and you're going to find out about it. I would protect your energy as well. Depending on what you use. I have something I call a love shield. I think love is one of the most powerful emotions that you can use. Make sure that if one of you is feeling it a little bit off or a little bit weird, that you get back outside and start grounding again. There's lots of things you can do. You can say prayer. You can ask for your guides, your positive guides and your angels to come in with you and protect you. There's lots of different things, but to me, I would make sure that you are well versed with what you are dealing. If this is not your cup of tea or something you do normally, my advice would be don't do it. But Dave, go ahead.
I was going to say, no, he put, it's not about proof, it's about help. Here's one thing that I've always taken away from my guides who have told me this. And they said, when we run around and sage stuff and do all this stuff, he goes, sometimes it's a joke to some of the spirits, because if the intention isn't there, it doesn't work. Everything has to have intention. And as what Lorilei said was absolutely perfect. You don't go into a place like this and provoke things. You got to go in with the absence of fear. Anytime there's no love, there's fear. That's what the absence of that's what the opposite of love is. It's fear. When there's no love any place, it's fear, and that's all you get. With a spirit like that, there's probably no love. I don't know why the spirit would still continue to do bad stuff or they need help with, but I would go in with the intention of knowing that you can't make a preconceived judgment even off the spirit that's so bad. Now, I know you're thinking, but David, this spirit, when it was alive, did tons of terrible things to children. I get that. But we never know a backstory of anything, because I inherently do not think that there is anything born on this planet that is born evil. We become that, or it's written in.
Okay, can I stop you for 1 sec? I'm going to stop you for 1 sec, though. So, yes, I hear what you're talking about human. But what if this isn't human? Because we know everything is energy, right? There's evil.
It's the ghost of somebody who hurt children.
No, but what I'm saying is evil was committed. So what if it's opened a portal or something? Because we both have agreed that every thought, every word, every emotion can create things. So what if it's opened a portal for something negative to come in, and you're not dealing with the human?
But when you go after negativity with negativity, what do we get? Negativity. That's why that's the only thing I'm saying. You have to go in saying, I don't know the backstory of whatever it is. You learn it when you get there, and you can learn it really quickly. And that's pretty much by just like what Lorilei said. I would never ever walk into a place and go, why did you hurt all those children and you did that? Because you're just feeding the negativity. That's just feeding the negativity. Why didn't you go in there and just ask, what are you doing here? What's your purpose of doing here? Could you tell me why you haven't moved on? Do you need to move on? Are you afraid? Is there someone who can help you over there? Whatever. If you were to take a negative energy and offer it any kind of compassion, I will bet you, well, not always. I'm not going to bet you. But if you show it any type of compassion, it might throw it off guard. But I would go in there and find out what it is, because if they need help, that means that there's something in their energy that is disrupting people's lives. And the energy is gone now. And I don't care who you are, what kind of ghost you are, once you leave this planet and you did your time, you have no right to stay here and bother everybody else during their time. So I would say I would go in there and try to get rid of it. But
I wouldn't. And I'm going to speak from personal experience and why I'm going to say this. David and I don't always agree about things. I know some of you love when we don't, but if you're dealing with something that's non-human, okay, and you're not used to dealing with something like this, I use this analogy. If your pipes broke and you got a big leak in your house, could you go on maybe YouTube or somewhere and see how to fix it? Probably. But maybe is it going to be fixed correctly or properly? Not necessarily. So if you're able to, who you're going to call in to deal with something like that? Somebody that deals with it every day, a plumber that deals with it every day. Like, for example, Michelle DeRoche and I talked about this last night. That's her expertise. That's her field. So what I do, am I afraid of dealing with the negative? No. Have I done some house clearings? Yes. But will I deal with something like this? I'll be honest with you, Jurgen, I wouldn't touch it. If you don't have a lot of experience with removing something like that, you need to get somebody in there that is able to remove it.
Maybe to take like if you know a rescue medium, there are mediums that
I can tell you what I want to add. Sorry, Dave, one thing.
Take a demonologist. You don't want to get me started on demonology.
No, I'm not asking for that. Like Michelle doesn't run around telling people she's a demonologist, but I'm going to tell you, I had a light worker come to my house, and we talked about this last night. I wish I had filmed it. It was a beautiful, I'm not making this up. It was a beautiful 85-degree day, blue skies, no clouds, whatever. When she came in, she told me, my guides told me that I was in for the fight of my life. I can tell you what I experienced when she tried to clear that house, and she was not making it up. I knew her mom. I ended up connecting with her. It was locally, and I don't talk about this a lot. I talked about it last night. She went through the house, okay? She went through right to my son that I live with now, to his room, and she said, oh, I don't like what's in here. We're going to save this till last. When she went in there and she sat down on the bed, she almost passed out. Like, I'm not kidding. She slid to the floor. She had tears down her face. There was wind howling all around outside. I could see clouds. My heart rate went up to about 180 beats per minute. Like, it felt like it was going to come out of my chest. I can also tell you that she asked exactly what you said, Dave, because she's one of the most love and light people you've ever met. She's an amazing soul, and she is all love and light. I was surprised she even came. And she said, I humbly ask for you to cross over. She said she was working with the archangelic realm, cross these beings over. And she told me that what she was told was they are not allowed. They are not allowed to be here. So to me, that was not human soul. That was not human energy or a soul. So whether it was something negative, I don't know, but I can tell you what I experienced and what I felt.
Good point. You made a very good point right now. Not every ghost is a human soul. People keep thinking that everything in the world is human. We're a very small generation of
So that's what I'm trying to say here is what I think is that the land is stained with the energy of what happened to children or the violence that was there. When we have negativity, I believe, especially depending on how much went on there and collectively, could it open a portal? Could it open it to another dimension that does not belong here, a lower astral dimension or something? Now, I'm not even saying the D word because I don't know if it is or not. But what I'm saying is if you're not well versed with this, or you are comfortable or you are confident going in there, dealing with something like this, and I'm not saying call a demonologist. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying call somebody to either join you and you can learn how they deal with these things, somebody that is experienced and is able to deal with these things and deals with them on a regular basis. That's why I use Michelle, because she does this type of stuff.
I would get someone who knew, like someone like me will just go in there and go, well, I feel nothing and it's fine here, because they won't bother me that way. So it's just going to work that way. So it wouldn't help that person at all. You have to have somebody who's versed in it. I will say this, though. I have to say this, and then I'll be quiet about this. But my guides have told me over and over, when spiritual people were all talking about shadows and shadow work, and people are afraid to do shadow work, one day I just sat with my guides. I'm like, what is this crap they're talking about? And it's literally anything can take the appearance of darkness until it's brought to the light, then it's no longer dark. Anything that's dark, as soon as you bring it to the light, it can't be dark anymore. Now, the thing is, with a situation like you have, something, that energy like that, that's not so easily dragged into the light. I think it's a little harder than that. Can it be done?
I keep feeling like this is in the land. Like, okay, so we have a history of something negative that happened. And I'm not the BLT end all. Dave and I are not experts. We've let you guys know many times. Yeah. We're sharing with you with our own personal experiences and what we receive from spirit. So, Jurgen, you said, please answer if you also had such an evil, I'll say, scheming to handle. I have dealt with it. I will tell you, when we left our home, and you'll hear everywhere that you just moved, maybe it might end. It didn't end. It laid in dormancy here until it had an opportunity. And Dave knows what I'm talking about. I'm not quite ready to get into the story about what happened, okay? But I can tell you that people don't, because if you've never dealt with this kind of stuff, I'm telling you, Jurgen, and I'm not trying to scare people because people think demons are around every corner. I'm just going to say they're not, okay? No, they're not. Very rare. And there's a lot of posers. I'm sorry, but there is. But the thing is, if you've got something that evil, it is going to go after things that will cut you to your core. Okay. It knows things that you know that nobody else knows. It goes after your finances. It goes after people you love. It goes after things your health. So that's why I'm saying this to you. If you're not well versed in dealing with this, if you're absolutely convinced it is something like this, you need to go in there with somebody that is well-versed in dealing with it. And I'm not trying to scare you with it. Dave and I don't always agree about these things, and that's okay. But I lived in a house with this for 11 years. I have had a 175-pound man throwing 15 feet across the kitchen, and nothing was there.
We have a little different takes on demons and stuff. I don't even like to call them the D word because of the fact when I did all my research years ago on that subject, the thing was, if it wasn't for religion, there'd be no such thing as demons because, well, apparently, because
that's why I don't even like the word because I'm not there. Whatever you want to call it, whatever the label is, and your words, your thoughts, and your emotions have to go somewhere. They do.
Yeah, it's just negative energy. Yeah. Plus, yeah, you have to think about it this way, guys. And me and Lori will both tell you this, and we'll both agree on this. Every nightmare, every little picture that we drawn up and thought over and over is energy, and it has to go someplace. It has to do something. That's where tulpas come from. Like, you know, enough people see something that looks like a certain type of creature, enough people believe in it and see it, it literally produces it because everybody just thinks that you're a human, but you're literally creating your world in front of you right now as you speak.
Agreed 100%. And that's what my concern is. You've already been told this going in, Jurgen, with no judgment saying this. The fact that you are convinced, and you have to go in respectfully with what someone shared with you. But I have to agree with Dave, too, that you can't go in with preconceived notions.
You can't.
You have to be comfortable in who you are going in there. And if you are going to help, don't leave that family in a worse situation than when you entered there. And that's my absolute advice to you. So if there's no shame, and there's no problem to set the ego aside. I'm not saying you have one. I'm just saying this in general. Set the ego aside if you're not well-versed in dealing with types of things like this, to say, that's not my area of expertise. Let me see if I can help you connect you with somebody else that is, or ask the person that is well-versed if you can go along and you can learn.
Yeah, I think the most intelligent thing that me and Lorilei will both agree on is just what she said. Do not go into any place with a preconceived notion. Mm-hmm. You have to go in, you have to do everything almost judgment-free. Yeah. Because we do hear that stuff. Me and Lorilei talk about the telephone game all the time. If something got hurt in the house and one person told a story, 10 years from now, that story's going to be different. Next thing you know, somebody who tripped in the bathtub one day, and that's how they passed away, was stabbed 35 times by the neighbor next door because he was cheating on someone's wife. I mean, we never know. They're going to make it up. But when we hold on to this energy and go into a place, your energy is adding on to that energy. Because I don't feel it's a demon either. I feel it's what Lorilei says as well. I think it's more of an energy.
I feel like it's like the land has been stained, and whether it's opened a portal or something to a lower dimensional astral plane or whatever it is, because guys, and you guys have heard this story. I don't know if I've told you, Jurgen, my thing started with a dream 16 years ago. And I know that if it was really what we want to call a schemian, I'm not going to use the word, this thing told me it was. I can describe it perfectly like it happened 10 minutes ago. gave me its name, gave me its spelling, gave me its animal form. Well, that doesn't happen. Like, why would you do that? So I'm not even 100% convinced that that's what it was. Okay. But whatever it was had a lot of power. And I know what I saw. I mean, that's why I documented everything, because I knew there was no way I was ever going to be able to prove to people what we experienced. Now, again, I'm still not 100% convinced what it was, but I do know that because we live in a duality on this planet, and our words and our thoughts and our emotions are so powerful. Not everybody has all love and light that they think. A lot of people have hatred and anger and a lot of things in their heart. That's got to go somewhere. It has to. Right? It's got to collect somewhere.
That's why I tell you, if there's a little place that has all my anger stuff in it, you'd be going, "Oh my God, David! Thank God something happened to you because you were mean." No, I've done what everybody else have. We all have. So yeah, we just have to. The advice would be from both of us: don't go in there with anything preconceived. Don't go in there to be a hero. Just go in there to find out what's going on. Take everything you heard from somebody without proof. You got to just take it and process it and not judge it, but don't clamor onto it. Not until you have proof, because I think otherwise you're just kind of bring more stuff in.
Well, my concern is, and I know Jurgen is very respectful and he does this from a loving space because I know him. Yeah. And he shared a few things from some previous investigations. So we've talked about this. And again, I'm not the be all to the end all. I can only speak from my own experience like Dave can and what we're coming from in a way of from what we get from spirit. I know these kind of things exist. Okay, I know they do. I mean, we know that monsters exist. So you just call them cryptids if you want. There's many of them. They exist. Where do they come from? These things do exist. They're not as common as TV would have you believe. But the thing is, okay, and of course it's scary because we're told these things don't exist. So when somebody knows the history of the land and then they're experiencing activity, whatever that story is, and I just keep feeling like the land is sort of more low vibrational. So it could very well just be a human spirit that was not very nice in lifetime and decided to hang out where they don't belong, like Dave said, and cause a lot of problems. But now we've labeled it the D word, and there's a whole bunch of energy that goes with that. So I have to agree with Dave. If you feel comfortable going in, documenting, not provoking, and that you're going to, I still feel like you just can't leave that family after you go and say, yeah, this is what we found. Because I can tell you that was the only reason I've become as knowledgeable as I have. It was like a 20-hour-a-day job because I wasn't ever looking for this stuff. It found us. Maybe like Dave, you asked me one time on one of our shows, like, do you think this happened because you built it into this lifetime to get you on the path that you're doing now? And I have to agree with you.
Yeah, you never know. None of us know the whole story. Even us NDE people, we still don't know everything. We only got a little bitty glimpse. Because there's a lot more out there than we know. Mm-hmm. I do agree. Just go in and have a good time. Well, not a good time, but go in and do what you need to do. I will say this, though. I find, not in this situation, but I find a lot of people who are having problems with like negative things, it's always been better for that person to deal with it with the help from somebody instead of somebody else doing it. You know what I'm saying?
But if you're not well versed in dealing with these kind of things, whatever you want to call it, that you get go in like Dave said, and if you feel comfortable and you want to document, because I keep feeling collectively, and I could be wrong, but some of the things you've shared here, Jurgen, and rightfully so, you're not a foolish person. Somebody's told you what they believe it is and what they're experiencing. That if you're comfortable going in and you feel you can protect your energy and go in without judgment and just document, but help this family if they need it in the way of if it's not your forte and you're able to connect them with somebody that deals with these kind of things and helps them, right? You've done your part then too.
Yeah, I think you'll be successful in it. I feel a success in it, which however it happens. I must tell you though, when I was a little boy, and Lorilei can laugh at this too, my cousin Pam used to come over. She was the one, my cousin in the house who got when she came over, that poor girl had to experience all the scary stuff that I was experiencing as a child, like lights going on and all this other stuff. She wouldn't come over to the house anymore for the longest time. It was like for almost a year because she was afraid. And when we spoke about, we had a plug come out of the wall. It came out of the wall, hovered, and then went back into the wall. We were listening to a little record player. It came out for it to go slow down. It went back in and plugged in.
Oh, hi, Cheryl. I just saw Cheryl here. I'm going to say hi.
Her in her head, that was scary and that was an evil thing. In my head, I'm like, no, it was fascinating. So it is all going to depend on how we look at stuff too. She still thinks it's evil and terrible. And I'm like, I don't think so, because it never hurt us. But it did scare us. We both, I tell you, you never seen 2 8-year-old kids flying down the steps on their butts, just down there screaming. But I thought it was funny later on. So, go ahead, Lorilei, go ahead and read that one.
We got lots of great comments. Okay, so I know Cheryl. Hi, Cheryl. I didn't see you because I was all hung up on the higher up comments. We've got so many great comments here. She said, I follow the Lazarus material. Lazarus said in one of his sessions that we deal with 4 planes, physical, astral, causal, and the highest plane is where the masters and all higher beings reside. True. The astral plane is where all the things of a lower vibrational nature, I'll say, reside. Yes, and there's many levels to that. Some are good and some are not. So when we don't set our intention to a higher vibration, we will experience things from lower dimensions. We may be reaching for diamonds at the bottom of a pond, but as we reach for them, sorry, I got to go back to her comment here. I got to find it. Give me a sec. I don't think we could see the rest of, it won't. It said as we reach for them, we will bring our, and I can't see the rest. I'm sorry, Cheryl. And I know it's on Facebook, but I'm going to agree with you. But guys, I'm going to tell you, I'm sorry. And it's not common, but I hear what people are saying. Okay. But I'm telling you, I have dealt with very dark things. I have not wanted to deal with dark things. I've only wanted to deal with the light. And I can agree with what Cheryl has said, but I am telling you, and it's not very often, but it can happen. And I'm saying this and really saying what I'm saying to you because we've had many private conversations. I do not have your permission to share, so I'm not going to. Be careful. Okay, be careful. And if you're not 100%, if you want with what Cheryl used, going in with a higher vibrational state, that you're able to go in there with zero fear, stand in your power, stand in your dominion without arrogance. I'm not saying you're arrogant. I'm just saying going in there, being able to go in, if you will, with love. I think love is one of the most powerful emotions as a shield. But if you're going into something that you're not quite comfortable, from what I'm seeing with your comments, make sure that you are including, and I don't even do healing work if I'm sick. I'm sorry, but I don't. So if you're sick or you're not feeling maybe your best or whatever, don't. Yeah. Go in with your energy at the highest vibrational level possible. How about that?
Not everybody, but like Lorilei said, just not always. But in far as investigation goes, I can tell you almost every person who wasn't a paranormal person or professional at it who said I was possessed or my whole life is terrible after I went on that investigation. It's because I went in either drunk or sick or something.
We talked about curses last night too, right? A curse is in the eye of the beholder, as far as I'm sure.
Yeah, it's basically what it is. We give permission away. You can't. It's the minute you give permission. That's why Lorilei and we always wait for the question to be asked. We don't just give the answer. We don't just willy-nilly spout it out and shout, I'm a medium, your mom's here. I don't care if you believe in ghosts or not. We don't do that. We do our thing.
Howie, was it there? There's a few guys that were there last night that were there when I was on Michelle's show. Michelle and I work well together. We've done paranormal panels and stuff like that. But I'd never really told our story like I did on our show last night. So thank you, Howie. That's so sweet of you. So Jürgen saying again, is not for research, not about money, just help. And I'm so thankful that you see this stuff exactly the way I think. Thank you. And I know you do. I know you come from the most purest place. You really, really do. And again, I'm glad you brought this up because I think it's good for all people to hear. And again, we can't go in with fear or preconceived notion, but I think we have to be respectful as well.
We have to empower the people who it's happening to. We have to bring their power up, because the more power they have, the harder it is. It's going to be for something to manipulate you. Because I'll tell you, like, it'd probably take a lot nowadays to scare Lorilei or I.
People sometimes, and I used to hear this and not think that, but yeah, no, there's been a few. Usually, yeah, now that I think of it, even with the really weird stuff, and I dealt with some pretty crappy stuff. Dave knows what it is. I'm not quite ready to go there yet. One of these days I will, but I've dealt with some pretty crappy stuff here that is sort of laid dormant and seized an opportunity through, I'll just say, through an individual in my home. Okay. But
I tell you, you want to go into a creepy house, you go to my parents' house, and it's not that there's ghosts or anything, but my mom and my dad and my little brother, who is like, he's just a piece of work. I walk in that house and their energy is so chaotic. I was like, I have to leave. My mom, she sees me shaking. She's like, do you need to go step outside? I'm like, yes. I said, I can't deal with the energy.
Yeah, but you know what? You just made me think of something, right? You're living in a home. You're not expecting this, and you're living in a state of fear, because you are. You don't know what it is, what's causing it, why it's there, the whole bit, right? And so you feed it with fear, and then it creates chaos. If it really, because the way I explained it to my son with autism, no disrespect, he calls it the bubble. He knows how to put up a love shield, and I could teach it to even him. And I don't say that disrespectfully, but he's 25, but about at a 5 to 7 year range. This is probably down here. I don't like to say that in front of him, but the whole point is, how I explained it to him is, if you get angry, and he only eats 6 foods. And I said, that's like feeding them. I said, have you ever eaten broccoli? And he goes, no, he's never had a vegetable in his life. He only eats 6 foods. I go, okay, so when you get angry, and he loves chicken nuggets and French fries, I said, that's like giving them chicken nuggets and French fries. I said, but when you think about the people you love in your home, like mommy and your family and your pets, he goes, yeah. I said, that's like broccoli. That simple. Sounds so oversimplistic, but it's true. Going in with love, high vibration, like Cheryl said, it's aversive, even if there was somebody that maybe didn't have such a high vibration. Like attracts like energy. How about that, right, Dave?
Yep, it does. It really does. Everything is just energy and vibration. And once you know how to work with it, manipulate it, and all this other stuff, you can kind of find your way around. Cheryl had put down, what about spirits that actually cause bodily harm? I'm going to tell you what I'm going to let Lorilei.
We're not on the same page as this.
We have a little bit different. We have a little different view. Here's my view on that. One, I'm not a total disbeliever in it, but I am very far from believing in it. But here's the thing. I have to personally see something. Now, I will say this. I have woken up. I have one time, actually it's happened a couple. I had 3 scratches down the right side of my arm. It just looked like scratches. And I thought to myself a couple of times, was I itching in bed or something like that? But then I had it happen to me one time as I was walking through my house. I was fine in the bedroom. I walked into the kitchen and I looked down and I had those 3 scratches. Am I going to say that a spirit did it? Absolutely not, because I didn't feel something and I didn't remember any spirits doing that. I just do not have enough proof to know that spirits can physically harm you, although stuff has happened, like it's happened to Lorilei and all this. But like I said, I'm not negating it. I am saying I know that there's another explanation for it than what we are giving it.
So I am of the mind, and I don't believe it's often. Can you get scratched and say it's a human spirit? Maybe they weren't so nice in life and they're afraid to cross into the light and they would choose to remain here. My belief is they're not going to get any better hanging out instead of crossing over. Okay, if you were a jerk in life, you're probably going to be one in spirit form if you don't cross over. Say you don't know that you passed away. You passed away very quickly, very traumatically, but you go back to your house, but you can't understand why you can't pick up the phone and call anybody and nobody can hear you. And all of a sudden these strangers move into your home and they're getting rid of all your crap. And I don't mean it in a bad way. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you can't communicate to them. What are you going to do to get these people out of your house? And then they start ripping things apart and renovating it. What are you going to do to make your presence known? Like, hey, this is my house. Get the heck out.
Something
Not
around.
recognizing you're dead, or for whatever reason that you still believe it's your dwelling. I can tell you, though, in my previous home, like Dave said with the scratches, and I have many pictures, there's some I haven't released. I can tell you I was talking to one paranormal team and I was looking for help years ago. And as I'm talking to them, and I was in the most active part of my home in the basement, because that's where my computer was, where I did podcasting and things, I started feeling burning on my tailbone. Obviously, it's a sensitive picture. I have a picture this big, looks like somebody's taken a cigar and burnt me on my tailbone. It's a big blister. I have another picture. There's many I've released to the public. I was sitting there combing my hair. It was actually just in a summer, like, bikini almost. And as I'm combing my hair, and believe me, my partner is still a skeptic. I am combing my hair. I had my brush nowhere near where I was combing. All of a sudden, I feel burning, and I look down in the mirror. I have a handprint on my left side of my chest. I can tell you, my partner almost died. It is in our paranormal survivor episode at the end. I have never seen anything like that. I have never experienced anything like that. And being a nurse, I have seen a lot. But what was coming out of him that was choking him, all I can tell you, it was like black ectoplasm. And I seriously thought, should I take a picture of this? And I thought, no, that's going a bit far. I wish I would have. But he almost died. After that, one of us stayed awake all night long to watch over the other three. I did try and reach out for help. Everywhere I went, when I would try, either somebody that would agree to come would get pulled in a different direction, would get sick, all kinds of things would happen. He got thrown across the kitchen. I have pictures of him, and I've shown it. I don't know if I've shown it to you or not, Dave. My partner has a bite, again, sensitive nature, right up here, and it is not human. And I can tell you the only reason I knew about the bite is we woke up in the morning, and I saw him the night before and slept right by him all night long. He had no marks on his arms, but he had handprints all over his arm. And I said to him, what were you dreaming about? Because he is a astral, like a lucid dreamer. He is an astral traveler. He is. And he told me he was fighting something in the dream. And I said, well, if you've got those marks on your arm, we better check you all over. And he did have a bite, and it's big and it's pointed, looks like pointed teeth. What is it? Why was it there? I don't know why it was there.
Yeah, we can't make assumptions. We never do know. I have to say, as far as I had asked, I had went through it. I did. It was probably about like 10 years ago, not quite 10 years ago. I was doing a bunch of research because we had watched a show about all these people who got hurt, and then I look back at these old shows back in the early 90s and late 80s. Now, this is before we had all the CGI stuff, so I like to look at those stuff. Now, there was 3 stories I watched where this one guy had all these scratches on his back, and everybody thought it was this big deal. But they did find out later on exactly what it was, and it wasn't even paranormal. But
it can happen, but again, with CGI, with AI, the other thing I will say is, and I know Howie will vouch, if Zach is here, when Debbie was here, I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that was here.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying these.
No. But what I was going to say, so that you know, like that this is live. Okay, I used to call into Paranormal Soup every Sunday, and it was usually on video in the most active part of my house. And you can go back to many of Jason's shows, and most people witness this live. It's going on in the background. Like you can see shadows, you can see all kinds of weird, creepy things. I don't know why that house was like that. I don't know why it happened, except that whatever it was, I never planned on doing what I'm doing now. And I am. So
and that's maybe like we said before.
Anybody that I'm not sorry, because I would
maybe you said before, maybe that's why that stuff happened, because so you would
I could have very well, maybe I built it into our experience.
It's much like, I think, as far as like another spirit touching you, because I have to say this now, when I go back to that, I was on an investigation. I was touched on my shoulder where you can see my shirt move, and I was touched on the side. I felt that crap. So yes, but this is what I was trying to explain to people. Is it that spirit who's actually doing that to me? Is there a spirit next to me actually doing it? Well, one, they couldn't, because they're not in physical I am. But Here's the weird thing, and I've gone around the block with it. How they could, if they merged with you, let's say, like kind of got their stuff got real close in there, whatever happens to their soul could literally kind of happen to your body, because our body has memory to it.
Yeah.
And our soul has memory to it. So I think that's kind of maybe how they get the scratches in you. It's like an instant, they give it to you and your body produces it. So it's like your body's almost like helping out the demon or whatever it is.
I have to agree with you, because usually most people that I have seen that report a scratch, and I can tell you mine looks like a burn that I had.
Yeah.
Right here. It was just a burning feeling, like, and it literally, you can watch it. It
And
just
wakes it up.
pops on camera, and as quickly as it comes up, it goes down. Thank you, Zach. Zach said I'm still here, and I can attest to Lorilai's experiences.
Oh yeah. But yeah, don't you think that maybe that's how that happens? And the fact that it somehow gives you that subliminal thing and it brings up that scar on you, because we know that, like, you can ask a healer. A human being can literally give themselves a disease by thinking about it over and over and over.
Well, you know what I was thinking, though? Okay, on the same, and we don't have all the answers, guys. This is just
No, we don't. We're just having a discussion of it.
okay, so if spirits can manipulate energy, and we are all energy, they could manipulate. Because most people, I've seen people that think about it and then it happens and they say, yes, well, you're kind of asking for it because you put it out there. But then there are people that are going, oh my gosh, all of a sudden, like, my neck is burning or my back or whatever. And you lift up their shirt and there's like just red marks. And then again, once you see the red marks, when people say, oh my gosh, I think you got scratched, you're right, Dave. Does it maybe give them the thought that I don't know? I don't know.
Yeah. Did you ever wonder, though, most people who do get hurt, they have some sort of psychic gift talent. And
Night,
I think,
Jurgen. He said it's 3 a.m. in Austria. He has to head to bed. Thanks for being here.
Good luck. Fill us in on your investigation.
I'll send you some energy, and I'm sure Dave will too. I'll remind him August 5th.
Yeah, and that's what oh, there we go. Sandra, thank you for saying that. That's the other thing I was looking for. People who have been under hypnosis, they've actually brought up welts under hypnosis just with the suggestion. Mm-hmm. So the body can do stuff, and I wondered this, I don't know. We will have to ask our guides and stuff and everything else. Mm-hmm. Can a entity get us to think that? And it happens.
You know, I always say I don't have all the answers. And you know what? Like Dave and I, and I'm glad Dave says this too, and I do too. Spirit doesn't give us all the answers.
Yeah, they don't give us everything.
They don't.
You know, sometimes they're like, figure it out, you weirdo.
Well, no, but Sandra said you can just as easily heal it that way too. And I agree. But I want to go back to Shannon's comment. What do you think, Dave?
A finger. The which one?
Shannon, she says, I have always had the hope that if someone is a nasty person in life, they change when they pass. I'm going to add one thing, and then I know Dave's got a ton to add.
Yeah, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Once they cross over, you lose your humanness and why you're here, and you become who you really are as a true whole soul crossing over to the other side, and you see the whole big picture, and you come from nothing but love. However, if you decide to remain on this earthly plane, and we have free will and death, that's what I was referring to. Go ahead, Dave. Dave's got lots. I know he does that too.
From my NDE, there is a point, and this one I've gone over and over. Okay, if you are in, like what somebody had mentioned before, the astral plane, if we don't go all the way over, let's just say that here's Earth, let's just say here's all the way over, but there's all this space in between.
Yeah.
Once we go through all this space in between, there's certain things that drop on us, like vanity. There's no more vanity. You don't really think about pain. You don't really think about anger. You don't really think about those things. That emotion, that's an earthly emotion. It's opposite emotions of something. But well, if you don't go all the way over, if you're a spirit who's not ready to go over anymore, and you're in that astral plane, your emotions still exist. Most of these bad things that we were talking about aren't on the other side. So that's why I tell people, on the other side, on the other side, all the way over, there is no hell, there is no nothing, there is that.
I agree.
But
I agree.
now, between this big old space between the two, that's where some of these things can exist. And I hope that clears that up for some people when they to know what we're
I
talking
think it was a good discussion. You let us know what you think, though, because we've had different experiences. And it doesn't mean, like I said, I'm still not 100. Was I convinced in the beginning when I was told what I was told in that dream that happened like it was 10 minutes ago? Yes. But now that I know what I know and the experiences that I've had, I'm not 100% convinced. Whatever it was powerful. I can tell you.
I'm sure.
Sulfur, we smelled like it smelled like in the German Shepherd. If you got a big dog, you know what I mean, going number 2, like you had 1,000 of them walking into a room going number 2. It was so repulsive, and as quickly as it was there, it was gone. I mean, I'm writing a book, and again, I'm only doing this to share our story, and those that, if you got something you can add to it or share to it, or maybe it'll help you, great. But I'm going to share it because it's a different, unique story. And I understand that I'm not the only one, but I'm also writing more of a light worker book, if you will, too, because I'm sharing experiences with people, like mostly nurses, but first responders, and the incredible, amazing, powerful things we see as people leave this lifetime and they transition, as I call it, back home. So there you go.
And for anybody who is listening who has got any fear of ghosts, I'm going to tell you this. Listen, chances of you having a negative experience, if you don't put yourself in that position, is 0. So if you're looking for it, it might happen. We're not on here to make you be afraid of things you can't see, because I see tons of stuff that nobody else does all the time, and I have to say 99.9% of it is absolutely beautiful.
But its knowledge is empowering too, though. So for people maybe that are experiencing things, like sometimes people just move into a home. Like how many people have you seen, all of you listening, or even you, Dave, people will say, my gosh, I just felt like that house was calling me. I just had to buy it. I had to go. I had to be there. I don't know why. And then they start experiencing things. Okay. And then they're not the only ones. There might be a history they didn't know about, whatever it is. Right. Yeah. But we are capable of dealing with these things. And if you're not able to deal with it yourself, I guarantee you, and they don't have to have a big title or anything like that, there are people out there that come from a beautiful space. Dave, Jürgen, I don't charge for paranormal help. I know Dave doesn't. I know Jürgen doesn't. A lot of us don't. And you got to do you, whatever you do. But there are people that do it for the right reasons, to come from a place of love and to help other people. And that's who you want to find, that maybe is well-versed in dealing with whatever you feel you might be experiencing.
I'll tell you, nothing pisses off spirit more than a medium or a spiritual person doing parlor tricks or trying to prove something.
Yes, that's true.
You'll either get absolutely nothing, or you'll be so over the top, you'll run screaming with stuff in your pants. So I always be careful. Now, I guess we're at the end of the show. So
you guys, this flies by so quickly.
Fun. We had some damn good things.
Thank you for all your comments and
Kim will do that next week. Kim, next week. I promise you. We'll talk about UFOs next week.
Okay. Yes, we got to remember that, Dave. Let's burrow it, because by the time then Thursday comes, we know we were going to talk about something. What were we going to talk about? Because we get, life happens. Because that's
just so you know how our show goes. We start out with the topic, and if you guys want to talk about something else, we read your comments, and we'll just all talk together then. And that's how we work it. By the way, I have a brand new website now. My website.
Oh my gosh, you guys, go check it out. Oh my gosh.
It's called the Spirit Experience. Even if you don't want a reading, please check it out anyway. If you do run a reading, you can, there's a 30-minute, 45-minute, or 60-minute live readings. Put in the code Mystic Stew. It'll take 10% off. If you just want to know about your life or guides or talk about stuff like that, there's a clarity reading. Put in the code The Gift, and it will take $10 off. You can only reach me or Laura Lee by going to our respective websites that we're going to talk about now. We never DM people or solicit readings to anybody. You can go to theywhispertome.com to check out my site. I am on all kinds of social media. Just go ahead and look up Spiritual Medium David Hanzel, and all of it will come up on Google.
Hang on, guys. I'm trying to get myself loaded here so I can end our show eventually. And David is absolutely right now.
Laura Lee is getting loaded on our show. She just told us. She just admitted it.
I get loaded. You know what it is? I use my phone because my computer likes to lag. As you see, we try and say it at the same time every time at the end of the show, and it never gets the right timing. So hang on, I'm in here. Am I in here? Good. Let me get in the right spot, guys. I got to have it all loaded up here. And I promise. So if you ever want to get a hold of me, you got a guest suggestion,
Sun Dragon, we'll see you next time. Yeah, you just missed us.
Well, that's okay. He says he's going to watch the replay. So if you are just seeing it at the end of this, there's always a replay wherever talk radio podcasts are carried. Also, if you like what you see, please share and subscribe and tell your friends and family. There's something for everybody here on this network. Also, stay tuned. The Outer Realm is coming up next. It is a replay, so be warned. That happened on the Angel Rock Monday night, but we always pick some really good shows when we do a replay. You can still watch, you can still leave comments and things like that. There's just not the interaction like there is with a show, but be sure to stay tuned. If you want to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me on facebook.com/The Angel Rock. I have 2 groups on Facebook, Paranormal University for all things paranormal, and the Angel Rocker Tribe for all things kind of spiritual. Guys, go check out Dave's new website. It's going to blow you away. It's so incredible. I will be
great.
Dave?
I said it's not that great.
It is. So also I'll be back on Monday with the Angel Rock. I don't have a guest booked. And you know what? I kind of did that with Summer this week or this summer because, with holidays and things like that. Plus it's kind of nice because we get to hang out and you never know, somebody might join me or it just might be little old me. That's at 6:00 Eastern Standard Time on Monday. And then we'll be back next Thursday, right, Dave?
We sure will.
Let me get us loaded up here. I'm in the wrong spot, you guys. I got to get all these advertisements all loaded up.
Yeah, okay. Perfect timing. My hair is just about to go to hell.
Thank you, everybody. You've left us great comments. We really appreciate it. Howie will remind us next week in case I forget. And we love y'all. We will see you next week. What are we going to say, Dave? Ready?
What's at the foot of your bed?
And I forgot to say it. We'll see you next week.
All right, bye, guys.
Hang on, I got to get the right one on here.
There
we go.
It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcasts. There's an amazing show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. The News on the Flip Side, in the category of politics and news. News on the Flip Side is a much different news and political program which is not deemed as opinion news. Listen as Joe Montaldo brings to you just the facts from trusted sources which will allow you, the people, to make up your own minds on the various stories being reported on. Go to podcastawards.com to nominate News on the Flip Side in the category of politics and news. That's podcastawards.com, and please take a moment and do it now.
It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcasts. There's an amazing show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast. In 3 categories: education, storyteller drama, and art. For 4 years, the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast has provided advice and tips from international best-selling authors, world-class artists, contest judges and winners, and industry professionals based on the world-famous Writers of the Future contest created in 1983 by L. Ron Hubbard to help the aspiring writer and artist no matter their age. It is dedicated to the future of storytelling and art by showing that it is never too late to start, and those who make it are those who never give up. Go to podcastawards.com to nominate the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast in any or all of the 3 categories: education, storyteller drama, and art. That's podcastawards.com, and please take a moment and go out and vote now.
Looking for something new in sci-fi or fantasy? Check out what Brandon Sanderson, Orson Scott Card, Nnedi Okorafor, and others chose as the best news stories of the year in the L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future Anthology. From 24 award-winning authors and illustrators, plus art and writing tips and bonus stories. L. Ron Hubbard Presents Writers of the Future. Buy your copy at galaxypress.com, Amazon, or wherever books are sold.
You are listening to UPRN, United Public Radio Network, coming to you live on 105.3 right up to 107.7 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. UPRNTalkRadio.com.